I am here with none other than Adam J, the CEO from Vinted Marketplace. And unless you've been living under a rock recently, Vinted is probably one of the most talked about brands that I know of. And all my family uses Vinted. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Happy to be here.
So look, I know that you came from Expedia and you're now at Vinted, and you want to make your mission to be secondhand the first choice. I really want to know what drives you, what drives that conversation? How did you end up going from Expedia to Vinted? And they're quite different brands.
Yeah, so our mission is to make secondhand the first choice worldwide, which is just a beautiful mission. And when I was thinking about what to do, I'd been at Expedia for a decade. I'd actually loved it. It had been a fantastic period of my life. I'd learned a lot. But I just, mid-40s, and was just excited to find a business that would make an impact. And I learned about Vinted, and once you get into it, once you understand the power of secondhand and the importance of secondhand, it was just something I had to be part of. I didn't dream that it would become as big and successful and impactful as it has. I'm incredibly lucky actually to have found the job I did. I'm lucky to work with the brilliant people, because the Vinted team is really brilliant people, and to have found a business that people are excited about. Like you just said in your intro, you're excited about it, your family's excited about it, my parents are excited about it, everyone's excited about it.
You broke a trend, right? You came and you built something that wasn't a trend. It's a massive market need. But underneath your business model is a very clever model that has an ecosystem that sits under it with all different elements. Yeah. Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah, and it's been quite a journey. And let's not pretend it was all perfect and rosy on day one. Vinted was actually born in 2008 and had a pretty checkered first 8 years of its life. It was sort of popular, but every time they tried to monetize the platform, it all just sort of fell off a cliff. And it was sort of around 2016 that they came up with really today's business model. And that was the fundamental change, I think, was to make it free to sell. Vinted is a C2C platform. The critical thing is to make it easy to sell, so people want to list, and if they're getting 100% of the sale proceeds, that was a key thing. At the same time, they integrated shipping and payments really properly. So they made a consumer-to-consumer experience, but with many of the protections and comforts that you have if you go to a traditional retailer. And that proposition has enabled, been a big part of Vinted growing, but actually growing secondhand as a way to consume. A little bit to your question, to the ecosystem. So the key thing in trading secondhand, this is for many marketplaces, but for Vinted as well, is to make sure that the friction, the cost of trading on the platform is as low as possible. And it matters particularly with Vinted, where the average selling price might be 15 or 20 pounds on the platform. So it really matters what the fees are, really matters what the cost of shipping is. And that's why we have obsessed over the years about keeping our costs down and keeping the costs for the buyers and sellers as low as possible. Obsessed to the point where we've actually built our own shipping company in 5 markets. We now have 14,000 pickup and drop-off points around Europe. We're building our own payments company to make sure the payments costs are as low as possible. And we will keep on doing whatever it takes to make the cost of transacting low and the experience reliable and fun and joyful for buyers and sellers on the platform.
You talk about this ecosystem, and I also gather that you're doing an impact fund, or you're investing in smaller up-and-coming businesses. Why would you do that?
This is a new thing for us, and we're learning. As always at Vinted, we're always learning. It's called Vinted Ventures, and this is a fund. We've put a fund aside to invest in really any business in the recommerce space, so in that ecosystem that we were talking about. And they have to be successful, well, they have to show strong performance, they have the potential to be successful businesses, we have to really believe in the founders, so that they are the types of people. You invest in people as much as you invest in ideas. And typically it's sort of Series A to Series C. And we've just made our first investment, so not our first public investment, I should say, in a business called Tilt, which does live selling. It's a UK app. A couple of ex-Revolut people have founded that business, and we're very excited. And this will be hopefully one of many investments that we make in the coming years.
So look, let's have a look behind the numbers, or beyond the numbers, should I say. And I believe that you're quite an impactful person, and you like to go out and look at what impact you can do in the world. Can you talk to me about that?
I can, but I'm also a numbers person, so I can't talk beyond the numbers. I'm going to talk about numbers, but to bring some colour to the impact that Vinted is having on the world, because I think this is amazing. This is timely because about a month ago we published our impact report, our annual impact report, and a few things really stood out to me. First off, we saved buyers across our markets £18.6 billion, 18.6 billion
Wow.
in 2025 alone, and that is the difference between buying something new and the cost of buying it secondhand. We also had impact on the climate and the planet. You probably know that that fashion is one of the most polluting industries worldwide. Maybe 10% of climate emissions come from fashion. 70% of transactions that happen through the Vinted platform are in place of the purchase of a new item. And there are hundreds of millions of transactions happening through the Vinted platform, which means hundreds of millions of new items aren't needed. And let's assume that the supply chain is efficient, therefore don't need to get produced in the first place, which has a really meaningful impact. The calculation, 1,607 kilotons of carbon emission avoided, which no one could possibly know, but that's probably a gazillion trips across the Atlantic or whatever it is. But really meaningful impact, and it's exciting and wonderful to be part of that. But we're still just at the beginning of the journey. Only 10% of fashion transactions today, secondhand. We want secondhand to be the first choice. That means more than half of transactions globally need to be secondhand, and that's just fashion. And then we do the same thing in every other category that we operate in.
I came from the fashion industry, 22 years of building fashion brands, very big brands, G-Star, Superdry, Wrangler, Lacoste, Aldo, many global brands. And so I know that industry, I would say, pretty well. How do we change the mindset of that industry? Because you're a massive disruptor brand. You've come out and you've done something that probably people in the early stages wouldn't have believed that you would be able to do. But how do we change the mindset of what's going on in the fashion industry?
I mean, hasn't it changed already? I think consumers have changed behavior, and behavior changes how, whether it's retailers or brands or whoever it is, how the whole system operates. We have normalized secondhand. And this isn't just a flash in the pan. This isn't just because of the cost of living moment or whatever. This is a fundamental change, I believe, in how people consume. And it's happening for everyone, everywhere, every category. It's hugely exciting. And look, many fashion brands, retailers are like fully on board. They're doing their own things to support the growth of secondhand, and bring it on. No one company is going to solve this problem on its own. We're going to do it as a collective.
If you then look at 10 years from now, and we go all the way into the future, I mean all the way to 10 years, but AI is making things so fast now, faster than the next 10 years will be like the last 50 years. What do you see? What do you see for Vinted? But what do you see maybe in the world, and how you can make that change and really bring people along with you?
Honestly, it's more of the same. I mean, AI is actually an accelerator for us. Of course, it's an accelerator for us, but it's a way of improving the experience for sellers, make it even easier to list, even easier to sell, for buyers to find the right thing, for us to match buyers and sellers together in smart ways. These are big opportunities for us. And honestly, 10 years, why not? make secondhand the first choice, meaning there are more secondhand transactions than new transactions in 10 years. That sounds totally doable.
What do you see to support those different types of businesses that are going to come through? Because they're not all going to be in secondhand. They're going to be in all different areas of the supply chain. So what do you see kind of mentoring them or helping them, supporting them? You know, how will they drive impact forward?
We are now a leading European tech business. And with that comes a responsibility to support and grow the European tech ecosystem. We are a Lithuanian headquartered and very Lithuania. Most of our people are in Lithuania, which means a lot of our energy goes into supporting the tech ecosystem in Lithuania. But equally, we're doing that right across everywhere that we operate. It's just unbelievable the pace of advance at the moment. There are so many brilliant people at this event and all around with so many good ideas. It's just a question of finding ways to unlock all that talent. So.
And I live in Bali, in Indonesia.
Oh, you poor thing.
I know, it's awful, I'm sorry. But I moved there because...
we don't have Vinted in Bali.
No. Well,
I'm sorry, but we will have... Vinted is going to be worldwide. I'm not sure where Bali comes on the list.
Well, I was going to say Indonesia, actually, and I was going to say Asia, but I was particularly like Indonesia, which is obviously where I live, and also then you go across the pond to the other side of the world, America. But let's look at just Asia and Indonesia and those places, there's a huge problem with waste, with textiles, with obviously with plastic and so forth, but there is a problem with textiles and clothing. And I wondered where your mindset was around emerging markets. Like, how could you support in those areas with Vinted? Because you have a massive opportunity to actually do something in those areas. What's your thought on that?
I think we have a massive opportunity to do something in those areas, and we want to get there. As always with Vinted, we're steady and deliberate. We were deliberate in growing fashion. We were deliberate in growing in Europe. Then we were deliberate in extending to additional categories. And then we're deliberate about testing in the US. But we want to be worldwide. We think our impact needs to be worldwide. And that means we need a flag on every continent, or many flags on every continent where you can operate. But there is a maturity of the market that's needed. You need certain things need to be in place for a business like Vinted to be successful. But we'll get there in the end.
Okay, so my last question. I made a board game called The Race to Impact the World, and it's a family board game, and it helps you race around the board, and basically when you get to the centre of the board, you're trading your money, and it's a bit like Monopoly. You trade your money in, but instead of having money, you get impact points, and the one that creates the most impact wins the game, right? So you'd be
I don't know where this question's going.
You'd be doing very well in my board game, by the way. The question is to you: if I gave you the keys for 24 hours to race around the world and be able to do as much impact as you could in 24 hours, and you can do whatever you want, what would you do for 24 hours? You've got the keys to the world and you can run around and make all the changes that you want.
Such a wonderful question. But right now, we live in a difficult and complicated world with too much stress and too much tension. So I think I would... I'd be off to Ukraine, I'd be off to the Middle East, and I would find a way to sow happiness and harmony around the world.
Oh, thank you very much. That was a wonderful, wonderful interview and a very perfect final answer to my question.